Oh, shit, I got another pudding cup, dog.
Shane and his wife do things. They do things.
Don't film me.
Today we are opening the GR Corolla headlights. So these lights are pretty cool. They are not like the other E210 Corolla lights. There are a few different variations. These are very plain, in fact. There is a single projector that is the low and high beam. It's a bi-LED projector. It's decent output. It's all right. And then it has this cool kind of swooping sea light thing that kind of goes back, and then an amber reflector. But there's really nothing down in the middle here like where a traditional like high beam or turn signal would be. So we're gonna pop these open, see what we can do and make them a little different. The one thing that I feel, and from what I read online, a lot of other people feel, is that the factory white sea light is super dim. So we're gonna see what we can do to make it brighter and maybe spice it up with a little bit of color. There she is. Oh my goodness.
They don't want you to take the front bumper off.
I guess
so
not.
We're gonna take the front bumper off. Are you going jet skiing this weekend?
The key is to make it.
Let's do ramps. I can't see you at all. These lights are so bright.
Unplugging the factory headlight plugs. So these are probably a data style plug. So just like the newer WRX Limited and GT models and a lot of other cars, but those are the ones that we typically work with. These may have a data line. So there's a constant power, constant ground, and then different pulse width or data, either canvas or limbus style data systems. So what they do is they use the main power and ground lines, and then they'll use the data lines to tell which systems, which functions to turn on. So like low beam, DRL, corner lights, parking lights, whatever, turn signal. So the one thing we want to make sure is if we're going to put a different sea light in here and we need a turn signal input, we do want to make sure that we're able to get a solid 12 volt input for turn signal. So I'll probably test that with hazards. Usually if there is like an error code for turn signal, it may either like hyper flash or turn off that circuit. With hazards, it's usually like a kind of a telltale. It's just going to push power out for that. So we'll go ahead and just test and make sure that we're getting like a 12 volt signal on one of these wires for turn. And if we are, lucky us.
Look at how small these clips are. That's the tiniest clip I've ever seen for a bumper.
I removed a couple screws, 10 mils up top, and then a few 10 mils from the bottom, and then a few different little tiny push pots from the sides. But really straightforward. I think that's it. I know we're gonna have to unplug the fog lights as we pull the bumper away, but I think I got everything.
The first naked front end on a GR Corolla. I haven't seen another one with the bumper off, so except for that crashed one. These are probably some of the longest headlights. That is so much bigger. They barely fit in the oven.
So it looks like to take these out, there's a screw deep down in there, one up top here where that yellow thing is, another one where that yellow thing is, and a larger, they're still all 10 mil, there's a larger diameter screw down here. And I think that's it. So I'm gonna get this last one, get an extension for that, and we'll be pulling these out. All right, yeah, it's a big one. Big catch. Hold it by the gills. So I am hoping that these are the gooey kind of headlights. So what I mean by that is the factory E210 have like a weird, it's not like gel, it's like gacky, yucky booger stuff that holds the headlights together. I'm hoping it's not Permaseal, like the new Tacomas, new Tundras, new other Toyota stuff, which worries me. New Subaru headlights, the 2022s. I'm hoping this is the easy stuff. So I have a hunch that it is, just looking at it. I think that it is, but we will surely find out in a few moments. All right, so the things that I'm gonna take a peek at, this is most likely for the low beam. It's just the heat sink to keep things cool. I don't know if I should pull that off. I don't really know if I want to mess with it, I'll be honest. I don't know what's on the other side of this yet. And usually if it's screwed on like this, it is serviceable. So like say like the low beam goes out, or like the driver for the low beam, this is typically gonna be part of that system. But still, like I almost would rather see how it's built in. I don't want to like pull on it and have some plug rip off or something like that. So I'm gonna keep it on for this. There are a lot of screws holding the lens on, as well as a lot of clips. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all these Phillips head. We're gonna try to fit this in the oven. If it doesn't fit, which I know it's not going to, just based on the other E210s we've done in the past, I will put a towel or like a canvas to try to hold some of the heat in there, in that area. Once again, I'm hoping this is that boogery type of sealant, so it's not gonna take a ton of heat or pressure to get it open. But that's what I do. I live my life on hopes and dreams, and if it doesn't work out, then I start to cry. It's really sad.
This is a very funny little straw that they give you to
adjust the... Yeah, it's a little hand. It says, do not. So this little access tube right here with the hand saying not to touch it, this is the lateral... Longitudinal adjustment. So that is if you want to adjust your headlights to face out, like towards the shoulder or in towards the center of the road. So they don't want you to touch that. That's typically one that you won't have to adjust regardless, but they really don't want you to touch that. This right here is for the height. So this is gonna be, you're able to adjust that. I will say, personal experience, these headlights were aimed very low and uneven from one another when I got the car, and I have heard other owners complain about the same issue. So this is one, we might just do like a quick video on this of how to adjust the height. It's very easy, it's accessible right from the engine bay. But yeah, it's definitely something I would check out. So I just removed 2, 4, 6, 8 Phillips heads, and then there's one safety Torx bit. So it's got like the little hole in the center. I don't know what size it is yet. I think it's this size. So it's kind of funny. It must be like, I don't know if it's like a tamper proof. I mean, there's nothing that would show that it's been opened from that screw. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open this. I'm just gonna see what's going on in here. Very gently. They do both. Ah, gotcha. So this is actually for the DRL type of module, which is what we were hoping to replace. So there's a lot of wires here, which leads me to believe that there's some sort of data line that goes to this, because there's just a lot for a running light and a turn signal. And these are what we were hoping to replace with a multicolor board. So this adds a little complication to the equation here. We have to try to figure out not only if we delete this, if I unplug this, is the system gonna freak out and disable something or do some sort of CEL, but also if we're gonna have room to put a multicolor LED chip in this area. If there's gonna be enough space for it. I could always try to design like a little like 3D printed kind of cover for it, or I could always try to use this factory heatsink, just take this chip off, use some thermal paste and put my own chip on there, but we will see when the time comes. So what that chip does is there's white chip and then 3 amber chips, and those each illuminate one of these tubes. This tube is the one that crosses over towards the center of the car, and this one is the one that swoops down around the amber reflector. So the light projects in there, the clear tube or rod illuminates the entire path, and that's that's what creates that cool little LED array. It looks like this comes off too. So now we toss it in the oven at 500 degrees. We're gonna broil it. Let's get some of this road off there. Roadhouse. Okay.
Who's Keith?
Did I just hack life? What is this, dude? Is this the Matrix? This looks identical. If this works, we're gonna be rich. No, oh, it's so close.
Oh wait, we can't show this.
The little thing on the bottom is move it over like a touch. Look at that, dude. Let's just not say where these are from.
Could, and then you could just like buy them and then
swallow it.
Sell them for like $3 less than Subaru.
Eat it.
All right, here we go. Amber fog lights. Testing.
Ah! It's so bright! It works. Wait, plug in the other side, the white one, and compare the...
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is take a flathead, and I'll probably go right here. Oh yeah, baby, this is what we wanted. A nice, easy pry. So you could tell it's the gooey stuff just because it has like a lot of rebound, like it wants to go back. Whereas a butyl, if you ply it, it'll like pretty much stay where you left it. So this to me is that gooey stuff. And pry. Now there's a lot of these clips and they're very aggressive. So with the goo, like I said, it wants to go back to where it was. So you do have to apply pretty consistent pressure on it, but eventually it will let go of the lens or the backing. Either one, doesn't matter. as long as it lets go of something. So I'm just going to continue to move my way along this. It's not as hot as I would typically like it to be, probably because it doesn't fully fit in the oven and I didn't really come up with a solution to make it. So we're just going to pull this stuff out and work our way along. So another thing I want to look into once we get in there, if I were to pull this open like this, inside the house, you can kind of see in there, Jordan, the inner scoop of the housing is super close to the projector lens, which is plastic for these LED headlights. I do not want to scratch that. I will, be very sad if I do. So instead of prying it open like this and risk scratching that, I'm gonna remove the rest of the glue from this channel over here and then pull it out straight forward pretty much. Like if you're looking at the car, we want to pull the lens this way, not pry it for this particular model. So I am removing this inner bezel piece. I want to wrap the lens with some cellophane. The reason I want to do that is just so any sort of dust or other contaminants don't get stuck in there while we're working on these headlights. All right, there we go. So this is pretty much blacked out already. I am going to black out this amber side marker piece on my set. So I'm gonna try to keep this somewhere a little clean. So we're having a little bit of an issue. These acrylic rods really don't push light out very good, which is probably why the factory ones are so dim. I should have kind of realized that. The factory chips actually look really good, like really high output. But these ones, the rods themselves, like I put this diode chip up. This is made for a 2018 Dodge Charger. I tried, the gap it's close enough. So I just tried to like kind of hold it off a little bit from the back and it just showed up really dim. Usually these do a pretty good job of kind of pushing light out. I don't know if it's like, I don't know why, to be honest. All the other ones that we've done like this before, even like this harsh of an angle, like that 90-degree turn, they usually do fine, but yeah, these ones are just really dim. So I'll probably try a few different products to see if we could use that style LED chip. I don't really want to replace these with like LED strips for a couple reasons, but I was just hoping to kind of reuse that factory board area. So yeah, we'll test a couple different products, see if there's something that works better. But right now our option might be put a strip in there and use that instead. So yeah, we'll take a look and see what other options we have and test and see what's the best option. So next step is we're gonna try to take this projector out. Now there are two adjusters, these two and then a ball joint. This adjuster here has these little tabs that I can just depress and then that'll pop right out. These two are a little bit different of a story. This ball joint I should be able to just push out. This one up top, there's a ball joint adjuster and I don't want to break it, but I also don't want to adjust it out all the way because I will still have to pop the ball joint regardless. So if I can not touch any adjustment, I know that they're aimed correctly. It's just one less thing I'm worried about when they get put back together. So I'm gonna try to see if I can pop that ball joint without adjusting it at all. All right, so we got the projector out. Next steps for this are going to be to get this rear piece off, get the lens out. We're gonna do a little bit of lens etching, a multicolor demon eye, and then a lot of you GR owners have noticed what I have, which is that weird U in the cutoff shield. So that is typically like a little like blocker, like a piece of metal that kind of creates that shape. It's supposed to be so that oncoming drivers aren't blinded, but it is super distracting if you are driving the car. And most other headlights don't have like that aggressive of a cut. So I'm gonna modify mine to not have that. So we'll explore that tomorrow. And then we're also going to check and see what some of the multicolor options for the sea light are. And yeah, we'll show you guys where we get tomorrow.
Alright, I'm gonna go etch some lenses, dog. These are some sweet GR Corolla that I'm holding one upside down and one not upside down.
I'm going to the bar. I'm done. It's Friday, 3 o'clock. Chase is gonna take over, so see you guys.
I'll take a grande iced caramel macchiato.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna, just check these out real quick. They're good to go. Now we just undo them and put the lenses back in the projectors.
I'm full Italian on us right now. It's backwards, and now it's not backwards. Whoa, what are you doing down there?
Oh, get my race.
All right, I am going to go ahead and start putting some glue in this headlight. I do want to say this ball joint was just the bane of my existence. I had to repair it a little bit. It's very hard to get in there. I did find a better way to do it. So yours won't look like this. And it probably looks worse than it actually is. The plastic just started to crack a little bit right here, so I plastic welded it and then reinforced it with some hot staples. So we are actually sending our amber side markers off to be molded and made into clear or smoke tinted lenses. So instead of having like a bright orange reflector here, I could paint it like we usually do. I think I talked about that yesterday, or tint it with like film. But what I'm going to do with those is actually have those molded and made into a couple different colors. That way, for you at home, if you want to open your headlights up, because it isn't too bad, the glue is pretty workable, you can just buy that part and do it yourself. And I think it looks a little nicer than like blacking it out. The LED will still be able to show through, so as far as like legality for certain states, you're good there. For now, I'm just going to seal it up without it. It definitely looks a bit unfinished, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm taking the sacrifice and taking one for the team. And yeah, once they come in, I'll slap it in here. I will have to take them out again, which sucks, but it's the life I live. All right, so we are ready to put these together. We went simple on this time. Like I said, we just went with the demon eye and the etching. We could have done a strip up top for the eyebrow, but I just wasn't convinced. So we're gonna look into a few more options while we get these amber side markers made. Until then, I'll just have some cool headlights with the GR logo, some demon eyes, and a blacked out side marker. Ooh. Noise, dude. Okay,